The British pound continues to see decline, something it's been doing since February 23rd. Pound peaked at about 136. Today we got down to as low as 130. That's the lowest since November of 2020, so a significant shift lower. We did see a similar shift back in October of last year, but obviously that was at a higher level. Now we're seeing it move down to as low as we've been since November 2020. And a little bit confusing in some of this move, given the fact that the Bank of England has already started raising rates. They raised rates in December of last year. They raised rates in February of this year. And yes, they are anticipated to raise rates again this week, but we continue to see the pound decline. The dollar, on the other hand, has been very strong. And that leading into what the Federal Reserve is going to be starting to raise rates this week at their central bank meeting, which will come out on Wednesday, so a day prior to the Bank of England. But we continue to see the pound decline here, again, as the dollar rallies, as volatility has been rising across all asset classes. Maybe a little bit of confusion. You would expect to see the pound rise if the Bank of England was expected to be raising rates, but clearly the market sees something there. Maybe they're not going to be raising as aggressively as the Fed. Perhaps some of their asset purchases won't be coming off as quickly. There are a lot of questions that maybe some will get answered this week at the Thursday Bank of England meeting, a day after the Federal Reserve meets and is expected to raise 25 basis points. Now, what does this all mean for volatility? Well, if you check out that CVOL index over at cmegroup.com, you will notice that volatility has been rising in the pound. And this is pretty clear. Volatility across all asset classes has been rising over the last several weeks. A lot of geopolitical risks, a lot of central bank risks, a lot of global growth risks. Ultimately, though, the pound now, as the Central Bank of England looks to raise rates and the pound is in decline, kind of goes against the historical relationship between the two. That may be one of the reasons why we're seeing volatility rise. Also, the fact that we're trading down in no man's land as we continue to see the pound decline, also another reason why volatility may be on the rise. But whatever it is, we should see a culmination of a lot of things happening when the Bank of England meets on Thursday and gives us a little more information than we know right now. Clearly, they're going to be looking to raise rates again, but what will they do with those assets? Will they begin tapering more aggressively? Will they look to do some quantitative tightening, which has become a buzzword in the markets these last few weeks? So it'll be interesting to see what happens following that, but volatility remains elevated in the pound as we enter into that meeting. Lastly, what are the speculators doing? What is positioning? Well, positioning in the pound has seen a very choppy 2022. The speculators were net short, they got back to flat, and now they're getting net short again. Again, in the face of a central bank that is looking to raise rates and tighten policy, you would anticipate speculators to want to be long. That hasn't been the case. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens Thursday, if there's any clarity given by the Bank of England, whether they look to raise rates continuously throughout 2022, whether they look to maybe pause, whether they look to increase their tapering, whatever it might be. We hopefully will get some clarity. Speculators right now adding to short positions, or initiating short positions, I should say, taking their positions to the opposite side of where we'd expect them to be if rates were going higher. So the pound right now, heading into this week and a central bank meeting, we continue to see declines well off those highs from late February, and we'll wait for Thursday's meeting a day after the central bank here in the United States meets and is expected to raise 25 basis points.